Welcome to the Tech Mobility Podcast, brought to you by Playbook Investors Network, your strategic partner for unstoppable growth. Visit pincommunity.org to get started.
I'm Ken Chester. On the docket, saving the wrong bees, more uninsured drivers, more unfixed damaged, and Iowa's hydrogen rush. As always, to join the conversation, be it to ask a question, share an opinion, or even suggest a topic for future discussion, call or text the Tech Mobility Hotline. That number, 872-222-9793. If your preference is email, you can reach out to us directly, talk@techmobility.show. From the Tech Mobility News Desk. Right before I get into a couple of features I want to share with you, a couple things. First of all, I want to reach out to all my faithful listeners. Whether you've responded to the show or not, I want to take this moment and thank you for listening. We're in our 8th year now on the air across the United States. And we lost a few years due to the pandemic in our growth, but we are back growing. We are adding affiliates as we go. Shout out to y'all in Lowell, Massachusetts, not far from where I grew up. Want to give a special shout out to y'all up in Port Angeles, Washington. Glad to know that y'all are listening. And I want to holler out at Santa Fe, New Mexico. These are stations that have been with us a while, and I'm very, very grateful for the listeners who have reached out to me throughout the years to let me know not only you were listening, but have actually sought my advice on some issues, and we've kind of bantered back and forth, and I'm hoping the information that I gave you was a help. But in any case, thank you for your continued support. It means a lot, because sometimes you want to tap the mic to see if the thing's still working. But when I hear from y'all, it does encourage my heart, and I really am grateful. From the news desk, I want to start with something called Car Bravo. You've heard of Carfax. You know what that is. Well, General Motors launched something called Car Bravo. And it's a marketplace for used vehicles. They also have a Carfax-like report. And it's something that GM has rolled out to their dealers. But GM has recently jumped on the bandwagon. And honestly, it's partially because of the pandemic, new cars were scarce. As a result, fewer cars came off lease, which meant that your certified pre-owned programs were starving for vehicles now. That also increased the demand for even still older vehicles. But if you're like somebody on a budget, particularly when you're looking at the average price of a new vehicle being $50,000 and you got less than half that, you're looking for any kind of advantage you can get. Well, GM just announced that they doubled the warranties of the vehicles in their Car Bravo program. And I'm not talking about 2 or 3 year old vehicles. I'm talking about older, high mileage vehicles that do not meet Car Bravo's standard certification criteria are now eligible for 30 days, 1,000 mile powertrain limited warranty. Now, some of y'all out there saying, what's that? That's nothing. Well, stop a minute. I'm not talking about a new car. I remember the days when it was 1 year, 12,000 miles, and that was the warranty on a new car. This 30-day, 1,000-mile warranty applies to older vehicles. And they're talking about vehicles over 10 years old with over 100,000 miles. That's what I'm talking about. Up till now, if you were buying an older car, say 80, 90, 100,000 miles or more, if that's where your money was at, you ended up buying a vehicle called as is. That means how it sat and the condition it was in. You agreed that when you bought it and you drove it off the lot, you bought it in that condition. It meant that the proof of its roadworthiness was on you, the buyer, to get it checked out before you bought it and not on the dealer that sold it. You agreed when they put as is on the contract, you agreed when you signed that I realize I am buying this vehicle as it is as it sits right now. And save for fraud, unless the dealer materially misrepresented the vehicle, which is your only way out, that I am getting what I'm getting. So any time that you can get something, I mean, I get it. 30 days, 1,000 miles is not much, but considering it's up over 100,000 miles and previously to this, you would have nothing, it's a start. It means that you've got a little bit of protection. Anything that is seriously wrong usually will work its way up within 30 days. You got a little bit of protection there. And GM's not alone. Ford is doing it. Honda's doing it. Toyota's doing it. This is one of the side effects or consequences of the pandemic, when all these vehicles that ordinarily would have been off-lease cars and program vehicles that have come into the used car market, 2, 3, and 4-year-old cars, aren't there now. So as a result, dealers and automakers are scrambling, and they're looking for any advantage that they can get that will help them move the metal. And trust me, when confronted with as is versus 30 days or 1,000 miles, I'll take the warranty, because it gives me something to start with. Because if you're buying a vehicle that old, let's just be honest for a minute, your money's not that good. You're paying probably a subprime auto loan rate if you're not paying cash. And you're paying, if you're lucky, it may anywhere from 24 to 39 months. God help you, you're buying a used car and they've got you in 6 and 7 years. It's happening, but that's another story for another time. Car Bravo, which GM launched in June 2022 to grow its used vehicle sales, is a digital platform that aggregates pre-owned inventory vehicles at various price points from participating GM dealers. The online marketplace allows customers to browse, finance, and arrange at-home test drives and delivery where available. And like Ford, Car Bravo also offers non-GM vehicles for sale, as many of the automakers' dealers sell other makes and models. In other words, if you're at a GM dealer, you're at a Chevy dealer, and maybe you're a person you drive Fords, and you find a Ford at a Chevy dealer that you want that is over 100,000 miles, yes, the Car Bravo program would apply to that vehicle from that dealer. It is not brand specific. In fact, it's brand agnostic. That's good for you. Just like certified pre-owned was a good plan because it gave you a used car with a certain set of standards. It met a certain set of standards. Because you may not remember this or not, but back in the day, you go back 20, 30 years. Even program cars that rental companies turned into auctions that they sold at auction to whoever wanted to buy them to resell them. Unless you were able to get the unexpired part of the warranty, the original factory warranty, meaning you had a car that was less than 3 years old, then you were stuck. You had a 4-year-old car, a 5-year-old car, it didn't matter who made it, you had no protection. The dealers now would gladly sell you an extended warranty. But, full of loopholes. Certified pre-owned changed that. But now, with the shortage of vehicles and the need to keep their pipelines full, consumers at the lower rungs where your money is not so good and your credit score is not so good now have a chance for added protection across brands to buy an older car, and I mean an older car, and have some protection versus no protection at all. And no, it's not a bumper-to-bumper forever warranty, but again, if you're spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, 30 days and 1,000 miles is better than nothing at all. Usually doesn't cover like tires, brakes, windshield wipers, stuff like that. But the hard stuff, the expensive stuff, oh yeah, it covers it. And that's what you really want to be aware of. Because, hey, take all the help you can get. Good news, we saved the bees. Bad news, we saved the wrong ones. What happened? You are listening to the Tech Mobility Show.
In business, opportunity doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Playbook Investors Network, we connect visionary entrepreneurs with the strategies, resources, and capital they need to win. Whether you're launching, scaling, or reimagining your business, our network turns ambition into measurable success. Your vision deserves more than a plan. It deserves a playbook that works. Playbook Investors Network, where bold ideas meet bold results. Visit pincommunity.org today.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
Every great business starts with a spark, but taking it to the next level takes strategy, connections, and capital. That's where Playbook Investors Network comes in. We're your strategic partner for accelerating growth, navigating challenges, and capturing market opportunities before your competition does. Your business is more than an idea. Let's make it an impact. Playbook Investors Network. Your future starts here. Learn more at pincommunity.org.
Your new Plymouth is here now. You're ahead for keeps in a Plymouth. It's the leader of the low price breed. You're ahead for keeps in a Plymouth. It's the smart car to see. The way Plymouth looks, the way Plymouth rides, no wonder everyone decides you're ahead for keeps in a Plymouth. In the car that's always you get behind the wheel of a Plymouth, and the smart one, that's you, and the smart one, that's you. Drive Plymouth today.
That commercial aged better than I did. That's for the 1958 Plymouth. And notice it talked about style, it talked about position, it talked about you're smarter if you buy a Plymouth. It did not talk a thing about performance, safety, comfort, equipment, anything. But those were the commercials back in the day. They wanted to paint a picture of position and accomplishment by the type of car that you drove. What was sitting in your driveway said something about you, and Detroit was all in and pushing that as hard as they could. Plymouth, the leader of the low price three. The other two, Chevrolet and Ford. Oh yeah. 1958, 68 years ago. Who knew? For years, Americans have heard the urgent pleas to save the honeybees. From the first National Honeybee Day in 2009 to being urged to set up hives wherever possible. Problem is, it wasn't the honeybees that were in trouble. It was the native bees. And as a result of this misplaced effort, the decline of native bees have actually sped up. Yikes! This is topic A. Let me spring some hard truth on you. Honeybees have never been in danger of extinction. Never. Liken this to saying that birds were going extinct and you were saving chickens. Now, it's kind of like we did here. And you're saying, bees? What bees? Oh, let me give it to you. Bumblebees, sweat bees, mason bees, miner bees, leaf cutters, and other native bees. Most of them solitary, ground nesting, and docile. Those are the ones that needed your help. liken honeybees to any corporate industrial type growing, whether you're talking chickens, turkeys, pigs, cattle, same difference. Problem is, any sort of disease in the hive ends up spreading out into the native bee population. And it's worse because unlike the group of bees, most of your native bees are solitary. They're not in hives. And they have a lot to do with the biodiversity of our environment, because certain native bees have certain preferred or specialists in terms of certain plants that they pollinate, unlike honeybees. And if you got all these honeybees, the ton of them, they're going to be specific. And the way that they do it, they actually reduce biodiversity because they don't pollinate every kind of plant the way that our native bees do. Our native bees are actually more important to our environment as a whole and biodiversity in particular. Yet, we have saved millions of honeybees, millions of them, by elevating a single species of interlopers, and I'm talking about the honeybees, above our 4,000 different species of native bees, which you didn't know. Scientists are finding that honeybees actually accelerate the demise of bumblebees and other natives by spreading disease, outcompeting native bees for pollen and nectar, and helping to promote a non-native plants at the expense of native plants on which the native bees thrive. Yeah. Again, that's like claiming you're saving all species of birds by saving chickens. Both birds, technically, one's industrial grown, the other is out there wild. Same problem. Same problem. In fact, those consultants in the know actually say this. They say, if you want to save the bees, don't keep honeybees. Now, full disclosure, I love my honey, and I do patronize a local farm for the honey that I consume. But they're not talking about the professionals. They're talking about the group of us that answered the call over the last 15 years and started this, kind of the hobbyist beekeeper. Talking to you, mainly. And they say it over and over in this piece. If you want to help the pollinators, don't keep honeybees. Because even in healthy hives, diseases flow out into the wild pollinator populations, and it gets ugly. Let me give you an example. And I'm using their terms, not mine. While the country was being, quote unquote, bee-washed in giving unneeded help to the honeybee, the rusty-patched bumblebee, and I remember those, was fading towards extinction. Once widespread through eastern North America, it has disappeared from 87% of its historic range. Another one, the American bumblebee. Remember that too. This once abundant species, a major pollinator of native plants, has declined by 90% over the last 20 years and is following the rusty patch toward oblivion. I'm not done. Survival rates of native mason bees, which lay eggs in small holes in the wood, they're almost gone too. These different native bees are as important, if not more important, to the ecological biodiversity of the plants around us. Because nature, in its perfect design, has all kinds of things going on. And it's like a community. They support each other. And when you eliminate a major building block of that community, it affects other parts of it to the detriment. So what do we do? What do we do? Well, they got some plans. They will tell you what you should do. Even if you do keep honeybees, there are ways to limit the damage. It's suggested that beekeepers restore 1 acre of habitat for each hive they maintain. That could be enough to sustain the 40,000 insects living in a typical hive without starving the native bees. They also encourage you to join your local beekeeper association, which can instruct you in limiting the spread of disease. One of the important things that they talk about is finding adequate habitat. And in the eastern U.S., they suggest planting redbud, black cherry, wild cherry, and serviceberry trees for early spring pollinators. They also have suggestions for late spring pollinators, such as beard tongue and false indigo. Summer pollinators, bee balm, and mountain mint. So there's all sorts of things you can do by planting different species to give the native bees a chance. Soaring car insurance prices have pushed Americans into risky trade-offs. This is the Tech Mobility Show.
You've got the drive. You've got the vision. Now you need the right partner to make it happen. At Playbook Investors Network, we power ambitious leaders with the tools, insight, and investment connections to move faster, grow stronger, and lead markets. We're more than advisors. We're your co-pilots in success. Because in business, standing still is not an option. Playbook Investors Network, fueling ambition, delivering results. Visit pincommunity.org.
Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out. Rising insurance rates for automobiles are forcing an increasing number of Americans to make a dangerous choice. Choose a higher deductible, reduce coverage, or in extreme cases, run the risk of having no insurance at all. This challenge is made worse with the broader affordability crisis and stagnant wages. This problem puts drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists at grave risk when traveling the open road. This is topic B. If you were raising a family, even if both parents are working, and God help you if you're a single parent, the challenges of trying to keep a job, raise kids, keep the car running, put gas in the car, is enough of a challenge for anybody. One setback can jam you up properly, and particularly if you are just in the process of starting a family, you're in your 20s, early 30s maybe. Money is usually not plentiful. And one setback, a major car repair, kid gets sick, you get sick and miss work. Usually folks in this situation don't have a whole lot of sick leave or stuff that they can lean on. And statistically, most Americans don't have even $500 in a rainy day fund should something go wrong. They estimate that 15% of motorists currently on the road do not carry any sort of car insurance at all. Now that sounds careless. That sounds selfish. And that sounds dangerous. It is dangerous. But if you are to a point where it is putting gas in the car and food on the table or carrying insurance, God forbid if you got to pay for child care too, you're making these decisions. And I'm not saying it's the right decision. But I understand that. There was a period, 30, 40 years ago, there was a period. I was in that boat, took a deep breath, took a gamble. And it's a gamble. What makes it so much worse now is, again, and we always seem to keep coming back to the price of new cars. Today, a new vehicle average is $50,000, and I can't tell you how many vehicles I have reviewed in the last year are way north of that. Better than half. Can you imagine? And Iowa is one of these states, and I'm hoping they're going to change this. But in Iowa, let me use Iowa for example. You can buy car insurance. but the level is so low, while you may satisfy the state requirement that you have coverage, it's so low that it will not cover if you happen to hit a vehicle, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 vehicle, and you're at fault. It won't cover it. And guess what? In this state, they can come back to you for the difference. Any self-respecting automobile insurance agent in Iowa that I know will refuse to sell you minimum insurance. Minimum insurance in Iowa is, I think it's 15,000, which is liability, personal coverage, bodily. Typically, and this has been for years, auto insurance agents in this state will not sell you anything less than $300,000, $100,000, $300,000 coverage. They call that full coverage. And if you've got a loan on a car, they demand full coverage. You don't have a choice. A lot of people don't realize that. If you've borrowed money to buy a car and you're making car payments, you are obligated to carry, and the words are full insurance, not just insurance, full insurance. And they ain't talking about the basic stuff. They take full insurance. And did you realize that letting your insurance lapse, two things will happen depending on the state you live in. If it lapses, you're in violation of your bank loan. The bank can actually repossess your vehicle. You talk about adding insult to injury. In some states, like Massachusetts, if your insurance gets canceled, your plates get canceled on the spot. So not only are you not insured, you're not registered. That means they can impound and take your car should they pull you over for that. But this is a problem, and it's growing. It's growing because people are caught in the squeeze. But let's look at the other thing. You're carrying minimum insurance. You get into a wreck, property damage. You can't afford to fix your car. So now you are driving a compromised vehicle. I've seen them. In the 40 plus years I've lived in Iowa, we do not have a state vehicle inspection law. That went away in the 1980s. And I really wish they'd bring it back. Because there's a lot of vehicles that I know for a fact in this state and other states with inspection laws that would not pass inspection, wouldn't pass safety inspection, don't have headlights, turn signals. The bodies are compromised. But if that's all you got, that's what you're driving. But that makes it less safe if the vehicle is short of safety equipment and they get into a situation where you're involved. You could be hurt, injured, or killed because of the failure of their vehicle to be in order because they chose to carry minimal or no insurance, rolling the dice that they're going to be okay until they're not. This is happening all over the United States. When somebody gets to the point where they say, I'm not going to not feed my child so that I can have insurance, when it's that bad, what do? It seems like the people who need it the most can least likely afford it. And oh, by the way, here's something else you may not realize. Let's say you let your insurance lapse. Let's say you own the vehicle you're driving, so you don't have to worry about the bank. You roll the dice, and maybe it's 6 months. And you're back into a situation where, okay, I'm going to try to get insurance now. Depending on the state, depending on the insurance company, either your rates will be even higher because you let your insurance lapse, or as they're looking at your credit score, which some states has made illegal, but it's not illegal everywhere, and you had that rough patch, and your credit score went down, so guess what? They use that plus your lapse of insurance to drive the insurance rate for you to get insurance again higher. So now something that you could barely afford, you absolutely can't afford now. Or again, pulling from Iowa, let's just say you were speeding. Didn't mean it, but you got caught speeding, and you were speeding so fast that they suspended your license. You spent the money to get your license back after the suspension. But guess what? In Iowa, you get to go into what they call a high-risk pool. And you're going to be in it for 3 years. And you cannot miss a payment. And you're looking at double or triple normal insurance. And that is the only insurance you can get. What are we going to do? The people who need it the most can afford it the least. And these are the folks that would be most at risk. Folks that can't afford to self-insure, which is what other people do. If you ain't got the money, you don't have the money. But it's not okay if your compromised vehicle's on the road in the same traffic that I am. Because it could be that one time when you're counting on your vehicle to do what it needs to do and it fails and people get hurt or killed because of it. It just makes a bad situation that much worse. But it's where we're at now. One of the consequences of where we're at with affordability right now in the United States of America. And it's not okay. 15%. The Hawkeye State, long known for corn and soybeans, may be on the cusp of a hydrogen rush. We are the Tech Mobility Show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. That's techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
In business, opportunity doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Playbook Investors Network, we connect visionary entrepreneurs with the strategies, resources, and capital they need to win. Whether you're launching, scaling, or reimagining your business, our network turns ambition into measurable success. Your vision deserves more than a plan. It deserves a playbook that works. Playbook Investors Network, where bold ideas meet bold results. Visit pincommunity.org today.
Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out. Here in Iowa, we're known affectionately as the Hawkeye State, and we're known for our bounty that our land yields and the effectiveness of our farmers. Corn, soybeans, hogs, and eggs are just part of the cornucopia of plenty. But what you might not realize is that Iowa is also home to large geological formations that are rich in hydrogen-producing rocks. Let that settle. Bet you never heard that before. Hydrogen-producing rocks. Put your finger on that. We'll come back to that. Question is, can this hydrogen be extracted in meaningful quantities? This is topic C. A little background. For those of you that don't live in Iowa, for those of you that maybe haven't lived in Iowa your whole life, back in the day, Iowa was a coal mining state. Yes, they mined coal in Iowa. And in fact, a whole Des Moines suburb sits on top of a group of coal mines. Ask them about the history of Urbandale. In fact, the school my kids went to sat on top of a coal mine, long abandoned. But yeah, they mined coal here. 40 years ago, Amoco actually drilled for oil in Iowa. We have that kind of foundation. Did they find any? No. But they drilled. Surprised yet? Okay. Let me introduce you. We've talked about a lot of alternative fuels. Haven't talked about this. So I want to introduce you to what they call geological hydrogen. Geological hydrogen. This is a piece from the Iowa Capital Dispatch. And it says that a company is exploring the potential of extracting hydrogen in Iowa. And it's no secret that Iowa is home to a large geological formations that are rich in hydrogen-producing rocks. But the question is, and still is, can they extract it profitably at scale? If the answer is yes, it's likely that Iowa would have a new natural resource commodity that could be used for a domestically produced fertilizer and a clean fuel source. Imagine this. We already lead the country in wind energy, solar energy. We produce a lot of it here. We're in the top 5 producers in the United States right now. You go within 45 minutes to Des Moines, I can show you acres of wind farms. Any direction you want to choose, I can show them to you. To be able to also get hydrogen, can you imagine if somebody was able to figure out how to put together a solar farm, a wind farm near one of these geological formations that actually produce hydrogen? Do you realize the potential that could happen in so many ways? There's one company, it's called Coloma. They're a hydrogen exploration company currently operating in our state, and they're still trying to figure it out. They believe that there's a very high potential for subsurface hydrogen in our state, but they don't have it at commercial levels yet. The U.S. Geological Survey defines hydrogen gas as a critical feedstock used for petroleum upgrading, steel manufacturing, and fertilizer production. And they're looking at this geological hydrogen for fertilizer production. Most hydrogen produced today for industrial use is made via a high heat reaction of water and coal or methane. As I mentioned earlier, certain rock formations also produce hydrogen gas. But until recently, scientists did not believe economic accumulations of the gas were present at depths that could be extracted. But here in Iowa, they said that parts of Iowa geology are highly prospective for hydrogen, critical minerals, and carbon sequestration. Here's what I mean by geological hydrogen. Let me get down to the brass tacks here. It's formed when iron-rich rocks contain the mineral olivine. And olivine is a magnesium iron silicate. And it interacts with groundwater in a process called serpentization. These geological formations that this is found in are abundant in part of Iowa. It sits atop of what they call the Mid-Continent Rift, an event from more than 1 billion years ago when North America attempted to split apart and large amounts of lava seeped from the earth. That spilled lava solidified into basalt rock that, in Iowa and most of the country, is buried under thousands of feet of sediment. It is said that Iowa has the largest intact segment of rift-caused basalt structure. And that structure stretches from the Great Lakes from Minnesota, Iowa, and Nebraska into northern Kansas. Here's the part that blew my mind. They knew, the Geological Survey knew, back in the 1970s and 80s, as they surveyed wells across the country and found wells in this particular part of Iowa in northeastern Webster County showed very high concentrations of hydrogen. They've known this for over 40 years. And not only that, they recently published a map of geological hydrogen prospectivity in the United States where it showed likely areas to explore for this geological hydrogen. And Iowa is dead in the middle of it. Can you imagine? Geological hydrogen. Hydrogen is one of the most abundant gases available in the atmosphere, but you have to extract it from somewhere. Either you're splitting water atoms apart to produce it, or you're using natural gas to make it. But here you can go all natural. And can you imagine if the energy inputs were alternative sources like wind energy or solar energy? You could have this totally green in a completely different way. The question right now is how to scale it. And this company, Coloma, has been working on this since 2021. And obviously the immediate demand here in Iowa would be for fertilizer, since hydrogen is a major component of fertilizer used. It could cut prices enormously and be all local. Freight costs would be lower. It'd be phenomenal. You never know what's underneath your feet. I mean, who knew? We knew coal was here. They tried for oil, didn't find none. But now we're talking about geological hydrogen. Until I came across this article, I didn't even know such a thing existed. But now, not only do I know, so do you. Geological hydrogen. Watch this space. We'll see what Iowa does in the next few years and if it's going to be a thing. And if so, how much of a thing? Time will tell. Who knows? But it is pretty cool, I thought, because I'm always looking at stuff like this.
This is the Tech Mobility Podcast.
Every great business starts with a spark, but taking it to the next level takes strategy, connections, and capital. That's where Playbook Investors Network comes in. We're your strategic partner for accelerating growth, navigating challenges, and capturing market opportunities before your competition does. Your business is more than an idea. Let's make it an impact. Playbook Investors Network. Your future starts here. Learn more at pincommunity.org.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than aonmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. aonmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
You've got the drive. You've got the vision. Now you need the right partner to make it happen. At Playbook Investors Network, we power ambitious leaders with the tools, insight, and investment connections to move faster, grow stronger, and lead markets. We're more than advisors. We're your co-pilots in success. Because in business, standing still is not an option. Playbook Investors Network, fueling ambition, delivering results. Visit pincommunity.org.